Hey there, welcome back to the Clarity to CEO podcast. I'm your host, Philippa, and I'm so glad you're joining me today. This podcast is all about helping you lead your business with clarity, purpose, and strategy, not just hustle. And today's topic, it's one that makes or breaks your messaging. Before we dig in, I want to tell you about something that can help you get even clearer in your marketing. If your visibility strategy feels like you're just throwing things out there and hoping that they stick, there's a better way to get this done. Every month, I host a free live workshop. It's called the Strategic Marketing Canvas Workshop. And this is where we take a step back from tactics to focus on the bigger picture. You'll leave with a 90-day plan that fits your capacity and your goals, not someone else's checklist of things for you to do or try. All right, so grab your free pass using the link in the show notes, and I'd love to see your name on the list for attending. This all leads up to the Strategic Marketing Mastermind that I lead. And this workshop is going to give you exposure to how that mastermind is run and the type of stuff that you'll experience and learn in it. And the next cohort starts in May. So I'd love to see you in this workshop so you are ready to go for the onboarding. All right, so let's dig into today's topic. So we're talking about our clients' pain points today. We've all heard that we need to speak to the pain. But most entrepreneurs either, one, avoid it because they don't want to sound negative or manipulative, or two, they overdo it and make people feel worse instead of feeling empowered. So today, I want to break down how to identify and speak to your audience's pain points with empathy, confidence, and with a level of CEO clarity. All right, so the first thing we need to do is understand the real pain, not just the surface of the problem. It's easy to think that a pain point is like I need more clients or I don't have enough time. Those are just the surface level effects of the pain that's coming up. The real pain is what's underneath. They feel invisible, like their work doesn't matter, or they're feeling overwhelmed and doubting themselves, or they've tried so many things and they feel like nothing works. Those type of pains are getting closer to the root of the problem. So in the book I have coming out this summer, I'm going to go deeper into the difference between symptoms and languages and the root cause of clarity. When you speak to the root of what people's pains are, you're going to connect with your audience at a much powerful, more deeper level. It's not about fear tactics, honestly. It's about showing them that you see them and that there's hope. It's showing them that you understand where they are and that you can meet them where they are. The next thing when you do this is you want to understand the language your clients actually say. This is huge. Your audience is already telling you what their pain points are, and can be in their DM messages, in your strategy calls, or in their social media posts. You just need to listen and be aware of when they're talking about it and how they're talking about it. So start a file where you can copy and paste the exact phrases people use, and I want you to pay attention to them. Reread old emails, testimonials, or chat scripts to try and find where these phrases are, how they're describing the frustrations that they're feeling. And I want you to use the voice of customers. Use the voice of your customer. And that tool helps you have a larger audience and helps you connect with your audience so much better. And then you want to reflect that language back to them in your marketing. Again, this is not to manipulate them, but it's to resonate with them and to build those connections and to establish that trust. When someone sees their own words reflected back at them, they start to feel understood and heard. It's like, she's in my mind. She knows what I'm going through. She can probably help me with what I'm going through. So that's the gold standard that you want. So once you can understand how is it they communicate the problem they're facing versus how we communicate it. It's so easy for us in our expertise and in our, I say, quote unquote, lawyer speak or attorney speak or doctor speak. If you ever listen to them, when they get into their groove of their expertise, they start using phrases and terms that are common language for them that are just not common language for us. And sometimes we do the same thing in our own expertise and it starts to, come out in our marketing. Some of the language that we would say about how our services or our product or our expertise is helping people, we start using these terms that we assume because it's common to us, it's common to everybody else. And we start talking about the problems we're solving in a very professional way, rather than talking about the problems we're solving in the way that our customers are experiencing it. There's a huge difference. And once you can see that difference and start to communicate it in their language, you will see a big difference in how people start to engage with you and your content. Once we can get the languaging done, the next thing we need to focus on is balancing the pain with the possibility. Speaking to pain points isn't about rubbing salt into their wounds and making it worse. It's about creating some contrast. You want to show that here's what you're struggling with, here's why it's happening, and also here's what could be possible. This approach positions you as both empathetic and a solution-focused person. You're not just highlighting the gap that exists, you're helping them cross that gap. So end every pain paragraph with a glimpse of what's possible. Don't leave them hanging in the struggle. We do want to obviously address the struggle because that's where they are right now. They're in the struggle. They need to feel that connection of, okay, you understand the struggle. So we need to definitely create content that highlights and emphasizes and discusses that pain, that frustration, that struggle. But we also need to cap it off with that positive, here's how we're going to close that gap, help them cross that gap into how life is going to be better once they transition out of this pain and frustration. What we don't want to do next is make them feel ashamed. We want to make them feel seen. This is so important. If your content makes people feel embarrassed or called out or inadequate, it's not going to convert. It's going to repel people away. So instead, you want to normalize the challenge. So many growth stage entrepreneurs hit this wall. Say phrases like that so they feel like, okay, it's not just them. You want to acknowledge the efforts that they've already been making. You've already tried a lot, and that means that you care. Those phrases, again, it addresses that they've been trying a bunch of things, and that kind of sucks. But it's also showing that they care enough to keep trying. And then you want to offer clarity and empowerment. There's a better way. So let's start with, and then you can get into your solution. So those are different ways that you can connect with your audience, meet them where they are, but don't make them feel bad or sit in the ick too long. You're bringing them out of it, and you're making them feel seen and understood, not ashamed of where they are, and helping them, just kind of pulling the rope and helping them out of the pit that they're in. All right, empathy sells way more than pressure ever will, and clarity sells even better. All right, and the last thing you want to do is test and refine what resonates with your audience. If you're not sure what pain points are actually landing, you should test them out. Try different phrases in your email subject lines and your social media. A/B testing, messaging, and landing pages or lead magnets are always going to be very helpful for seeing which ones are getting the most attention so you can really connect with your audience better and give them what they need. And you can also ask for feedback. Ask your past clients or your current clients, if you take a look at this post I just did. Did this speak to you, or does it speak to what you're currently struggling with? Ask for their feedback and help and their guidance to help you understand whether or not you're communicating at the right level for where your audience needs you to be. Your audience evolves and their language shifts over time. So you want to treat this like a conversation and not just like a static formula that you're going to use repeatedly over and over and over again and hope for the same results every time. And yes, this is something we worked through during the strategic marketing canvas workshop that I have coming up in April. So if your pain points, messaging is something that you've been avoiding or guessing at or just not struggling with, this season will be a game changer for you. Attend that workshop and you're going to learn so much on how to improve the languages you're using. All right, so one last thing. If you're ready to stop guessing and start connecting with your audience on a real, mature, and meaningful level, grab your free pass to the next Strategic Marketing Canvas workshop. You can use the link in the show notes right now. Get signed up. If you missed the April one, I'm going to do another one in May, but we are enrolling the next group in May, so I don't want you to miss that. All right, so stay tuned next week, and we'll talk about what to do when your audience evolves and suddenly your old messaging just doesn't work anymore. All right, so until then, keep showing up, keep leading, keep shining, and keep clarifying that CEO voice of yours.